All right, so these are reports that are trickling in. Iran having activated its air defense systems in western Iran. And this while Israeli military has also activated more missiles launched from Iran and has even urged the Israeli citizens to head to protective shelters. So Iran parallelly activating air defenses in Tehran, and all of this while Israel, on the other hand, has operated its defenses to intercept the threat. The Israeli Defense Forces also cautioning civilians to remain indoors. Schools that have been shut until 17th of June. Sirens that have been blaring across Israel. Situation is similar in Iran as well. Details coming in that Iran has struck the Haifa city. It has activated air defenses in Tehran. So the latest Iranian salvo, it comes as Israel has said that it is commencing series of strikes in western Iran that are targeting surface-to-surface missiles. Earlier note, US President Donald Trump had rejected a plan by Israelis to kill Iran's supreme leader. This is as per reports. And while there is still no headway in terms of the talks that were supposed to happen between the US and the Iranian side on its nuclear program, both Iran and Israel are upping the ante against one another, stepping up the offensive. For now, reports that are trickling in that Iran has struck the Haifa city. And more breaking inputs that are just trickling in. Iran has sent another missile salvo. The visuals on your screens are live. Take a closer look. So Israel's Iron Dome continues to intercept the incoming projectiles, as is evident from the visuals on your screens. These are live images from Israeli cities. One is from Tel Aviv, the second being from Haifa. The Israeli forces intercepting the missiles being fired from the Iranian side. And let's once again bring you up to speed as to what's been happening in Israel and Iran. Both sides are unwilling to give up, upping the ante against one another. This is offensive and counter-offensive which is taking place. For now, these are live visuals on your screens. The sirens that are blaring across the Israeli cities. in Haifa and in Tel Aviv. Israelis nationwide told, across the nation have been told to stay indoors, to take shelters amid a barrage of missiles being launched from the Iranian side. Impact has been reported. In fact, also note that casualties have been reported in Israel as Iran is targeting Israeli cities. Sirens that can be heard across much of Israel amid Iran missile barrage. Iran launching fresh wave of missile attacks, firing missiles as Israel targets Tehran. All right, so as we speak, West Asia remains on a knife's edge after Iran's retaliatory missile strikes that brought massive devastation to Israel over the past 2 days. At places like Bat Yam and Ramat Gan, even the capital Tel Aviv, there's been massive damage to infrastructure, though Israel has managed to keep the number of casualties down with elaborate precautions in place. Getting you all the details in this next report.
The impact has been felt throughout Israel. These are images from Bat Yam, south of the capital Tel Aviv. An 8-story building is among several battered by an Iranian missile strike. While Israel's sophisticated air defense systems intercepted many missiles, some managed to breach defenses, causing chaos and fear. Rescue teams continue a hunt for survivors.
I never thought I will hear a boom this loud in my life. It was a bomb as if you were in. Look, the missile fell there, and the blast that came through the small window in the shelter threw me, my mother-in-law, and my wife. From the blast, we fell forward. Simply unbelievable.
In residential areas in several cities, Rishon LeZion, Ramat Gan, Tamra, Rehovot, and even parts of the capital Tel Aviv, the scars are similar. Homes destroyed, cars incinerated, a stark reminder of the indiscriminate nature of these attacks. Official reports say 14 people have been killed in Israel, with the highest of 6 in Bat Yam. Close to 200 are wounded. A surprisingly low number compared to the kind of damage visible, and far lower than Iran's claims of 128 killed in Israel strikes on its territory. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is among several Israeli leaders who have visited Bat Yam, cites the horror as a justification for Israel's offensive in Iran.
We are here because we are in an existential war that is now understandable to all citizens of Israel. Think about what would happen if Iran had nuclear weapons to land on Israeli cities. Think about what would happen if Iran had 20,000 such missiles. Not one. 20,000 of them in an existential threat to Israel.
Keeping casualties low has been one of the biggest hallmarks of Israel's preparedness machinery. The Israeli government, primarily through the Home Front Command, issues comprehensive guidelines and alerts to its citizens for airstrikes and other emergencies. A sophisticated multi-layered alert system works via sirens, radio and TV broadcasts and more. Shelters, underground parking lots, emergency drills and protocols are all closely adhered to. These precautions are actively being reinforced and updated.
Be very careful for your lives. That's how you save yourselves, and that's how you also help us defeat these barbarians in Tehran. They will pay a very heavy price for murdering children and women and innocent civilians. We will achieve all our goals, both the nuclear and thousands of such missiles. That will not happen. We are winning.
For both Iran and Israel, there are no signs yet of hostilities easing. Expect more brutal blows to infrastructure, more bombings and devastation ahead. Keeping civilians safe to the extent possible amid these horrors will be critical.
Now, with the Israel-Iran war continuing to escalate, with the West Asia force trading missiles and airstrikes for the past 2 days, how it all unfolded, let's take a closer look in our next report.
On Friday, that is the 13th of June, Israel launched a targeted military operation called Rising Lion against Iran, striking at the heart of Tehran's ballistic missile program. In a video statement, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the attack was to roll back the threat to Israel's very survival.
This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons.
The attack coincided with the efforts of the United States to actively lead negotiations with Tehran aimed at reaching a deal to restrict Iran's capacity to develop nuclear weapons. Among the sites targeted on day one was a vast underground uranium enrichment facility at Natanz. Another strike, Israel said, hit an Iranian plant in Isfahan, damaging infrastructure for reconverting enriched uranium. The series of strikes killed the head of the Revolutionary Guards, Hussein Salami, and Armed Forces Chief of Staff Mohammad Bagheri, with replacements swiftly named by Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The Revolutionary Guards said its aerospace commander, Amir Ali Hajizadeh, was also killed. Hours thereafter, Iran retaliated with Operation True Promise, with IRGC saying it carried out attacks against dozens of Israeli targets, military centers and air bases. There were celebrations in Iran after strikes against Israel. Bright flames could be seen over Jerusalem and Tel Aviv as Israel's Iron Dome defense system sought to intercept the attacks. Khamenei said that Iran will inflict heavy blows after Israel launched the war.
Life will become bitter for them, without a doubt. They should not think they struck and it's over. No, they started this and triggered a war.
Netanyahu said Israel's fight is not with the Iranian people, but with the country's leadership.
More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them.
Iran and Israel exchanged airstrikes with air raid sirens sounded in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and several explosions heard in Tehran. UN Secretary General said it was time to stop the escalation, but the two sides did not exercise restraint. Israeli military said the country's air force hit drones at targets in Tehran overnight, including surface-to-air missile infrastructure. Iran, while fighting Israel tooth and nail, warned that it will target United Kingdom, United States and France bases in the region if they defend Israel. This, as IDF said, it had killed 9 Iranian nuclear scientists and experts, also 20 Iranian military commanders. As tensions escalated, mediator Oman said the next round of US-Iran talks set for 15th of June will not go ahead. The two countries were preparing for another night of fire. Israeli media reported Iran's missile launch over 100 missiles, mainly targeting Tel Aviv and Haifa. Israel, on its part, targeted 2 of Iran's gas fields in southern Bushehr province. Also, Iran's nuclear infrastructure sites as well as the country's defense ministry headquarters in Tehran. Amid this, US President Donald Trump has distanced the United States, saying it has nothing to do with Israeli attacks on Iran, but has warned of a response of levels never seen before if US is attacked in any way, form or shape. The question now is, what turn will this new war take? Will it spread any further, pulling in the United States and UK? Well, it remains to be seen. Bureau Report, WION The World is One.
Now, while the situation remains extremely volatile in West Asia, French President Emmanuel Macron has expressed hope that tensions between Iran and Israel will ease within hours. This is a big statement coming in. Macron saying that he hopes that the Israel-Iran conflict will calm in the coming hours. He has reiterated France's position that nuclear negotiations with Iran must resume despite the unfolding military escalation. On the third day of intense combat, Israeli forces struck several key Iranian targets, which include military installations and fuel shortage facilities as well, in response to which Tehran has launched a fresh wave of missile strikes, raising regional fears of a broader conflict in the region.
We continue to call for de-escalation and the resumption of discussions. Yesterday, I was able to speak with the President of Iran and called for the talks to resume as soon as possible. This is also what I advocated during my exchange with President Trump, who shares this vision. So we will have the opportunity in a few hours to revisit this with the G7 leaders, and I hope that the next few hours will bring calm and a path towards discussion to prevent, obviously, any nuclear escalation, the acquisition of nuclear capabilities in Iran, and above all, to prevent any outbreaks of violence in the region.
Macron's remarks come as part of a broader diplomatic push to revive the stalled dialogue with Iran. He has urged both sides and the international community not to lose sight of the urgent need to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions. Calling the situation dangerously unstable, the US and Iran had already engaged in 5 rounds of indirect nuclear talks since April, attempting to draft a new agreement to replace the 2015 deal abandoned by Donald Trump. A 6th round of negotiations was due to take place on Sunday, but Oman, acting as host, confirmed that the talks had been cancelled due to the intensifying violence. Now, on the business front, energy markets are on the edge as Israel-Iran tensions escalate. Israel has struck a major blow to Iran's energy infrastructure, targeting the South Pars gas field, which is the world's largest, shared with Qatar. A direct hit on Iran's onshore Phase 14 gas processing facility has triggered a massive fire and forced the shutdown of an offshore platform producing 12 million cubic meters of gas per day. South Pars supplies nearly 2/3 of Iran's domestic gas, which makes this a critical hit to the country's energy backbone. This is also the first time energy infrastructure has been directly targeted in the ongoing confrontation, which signals a dangerous new phase in this conflict. The fallout from the attack is already visible both on the ground and in the economy. Shortly after the Phase 14 strike, a separate fire broke out at Iran's gas plant, which is one of the largest in the country. Early reports even point to hostile drones, though official confirmation is awaited on the same. The damage comes at a time when Iran is already struggling with widespread power blackouts, costing the economy around $250 million each day. These new hits further strain a system already under immense stress. Experts are calling this the most significant attack on energy infrastructure since the 2019 strike in Saudi Arabia. Iran's condensate exports to China and gas supplies to Iraq and Turkey now face potential disruption. The impact is reverberating through global markets as well. In fact, on Friday, US crude oil prices surged to as much as 13% intraday before settling near $73 per barrel. While Iran's limited export capacity and lack of LNG terminals may contain the global supply impact, for now the risk lies in the escalation. The region remains critical. 1/3 of the world's seaborne oil passes through nearby routes. Israel, analysts say, is choosing economic targets carefully to pressure Iran without triggering a broad market shock. But the scope for miscalculation remains high. For now, traders, allies, and energy planners are watching closely as the next move could reshape more than just the regional balance. And time to head into a very short break. When we come back, we'll be getting you back-to-back updates. So we are tracking from Israel and Iran. Stay tuned to WION.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's